Hello and welcome, Code Symphony, Unraveling the Code Mysteries, where we break down complex programming concepts into simple and actionable insights. Today's episode, Unlocking the Power of Async Await in JavaScript, takes you on a journey into one of the most transformative features of modern JavaScript, Async Await. Setting the stage, asynchronous JavaScript before async await. Let's rewind a little to the days when asynchronous operations in JavaScript were handled with callbacks. Developers coined the term callback hell to describe the deeply nested, hard to read chains of callback. Promises improved things by giving us better syntax and flow control, but promises alone still left room for more intuitive ways to manage async tasks. What is async await? Async await is essentially synthetic sugar built on top of promises, making your code look synchronous, while still handling asynchronous operations. It lets you pause code execution until the awaited operations completes. This helps avoid chaining dot-then blocks and improved code readability. In JavaScript, asynchronous code allows tasks like API calls or file reading to be executed without blocking the main thread. But managing this effectively, especially in complex applications, can be tricky. That's where async await comes in, drastically simplifying the process. How async await works? A quick breakdown. Let's take a look at the core elements. First, async functions. By adding the async keyword before a function, it automatically returns a promise. You can await the result within this function. Second, await keyword. The await keyword pauses the execution of function until the promise is resolved or rejected. JavaScript pauses at each await keyword until the promise is fulfilled. This approach makes it easier to read and maintain the traditional promise chains. Why developers love async await? Async await dramatically improves how developers write asynchronous code for several reasons. First, readability. The code looks cleaner and more like synchronous code. Second, error handling. You can use try catch for error handling rather than having to chain .catch in promises. Third, debugging. Async await makes it easier to trace the flow of code and finding bugs. Fourth, flow control. Handling sequences of async operations in an ordered and step-by-step fashion became straightforward. Advanced use cases, sequential versus parallel execution. While async await simplifies things, it's essential to understand when you might be unintentionally slowing down your code. For sequential operations, the code will wait for each promise to resolve. For example, you can create a async function, get data, and you can await the API calls while you fetch the data. And for parallel executions, you can use promise.all to fetch data from all API calls. Using promise.all allows the two requests to happen simultaneously, reducing the overall execution time. Now let's talk about the caveats and common mistakes. Even though async await is more intuitive, there are still some pitfalls. First, blocking execution. If you await inside loops or operations that could run in parallel, you might end up slowing the things down unnecessarily. Second, error handling. Not wrapping your code in a try-catch block could result in unhandled promise rejections, which can crash your app or lead to unexpected behavior. To conclude this, the introduction of async await marked a turning point in JavaScript evolution. By asynchronous code easier to write, read, and maintain, it enables developers to focus on solving complex problems without being bogged down by messy syntax or callback chains. That wraps up today's episode of Code Symphony, Unraveling the Code Mysteries. I hope this deep dive into async await has made you feel more comfortable with asynchronous JavaScript. Stay tuned for more episodes where we continue to simplify complex code concepts for developers like you. Until next time, keep coding and keep creating.